here. Want me to get a cover?
As long as you don't spill it.
All right.
Here we go. In 3, 2. You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast on Digital Stream Radio.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candace. Now let's start the show. Hey guys.
Hey. How are you, Miss Candace?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you?
Another week, another episode. 46.
Episode 46. We're so close to a year.
46 weeks on the charts. You are insane.
I love it on the charts. On my chart, on our chart, on like the chart of 3. But I'm really happy to be here and I'm super proud of it. So I'm counting down excitedly till episode 52. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I feel like it should be a big one.
Yeah, I know. So have you thought about it at all?
No, because I'm breezy and
ain't nobody got time for that.
What is that? 6, 4, 5? I don't know how many episodes. That is.
I'm thinking we should finagle something. You get your girls ready. Mm-hmm. We go to a bar that allows us to actually set up and do a live episode in front of an audience for your 52nd week anniversary. That's what we should do.
That is awesome.
Right?
That is like a huge dream, right? That feels like such a ridiculous thing I could never, ever do, which really makes me want to do it.
It could be arranged, girl. I got 2 of these mixers. I'm mobile. I got speakers. I got all that stuff. We can do this.
I mean, given that you just put me on blast on the on the internet, right? I can't become a loser and be a loser and not hold up to it. But I really want to do
it. Ideas. It would have to be obviously on a night that's not your typical Thursday night, right? Because it's the school night for you. Mm-hmm. You've got kids the next day, but it can work.
It can happen.
Yeah.
James is really into visualization and sort of speaking positive things, secreting things is what I call it from The Secret. That movie a couple years ago. Actually, that thing is 10 years old now. Anyway, so I am trying to learn. I am practicing I'm practicing fixing my language, right? Practicing using positive language. I am practicing positive speaking, right? And positive instead of always the I can't, right? Well, maybe I can. I don't know. Anyway, I'm practicing. It's not all the way there yet because I feel because I'm a New Yorker and New Yorkers are skeptical of everything. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just probably won't. Right? It just is always in the background how I feel, but I'm working on it.
Well, we can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. So you think it over, anyway, simmer on it.
Simmer on that.
Simmer on it, and then we'll work on that, and we'll figure something out. But I do have a question for you.
I'm listening.
How are your boys?
The boys are good. The boys are really good. So we have just noticed in the last couple weeks that Emery has been stringing longer sentences together and is actually is legit actually talking now. And it's kind of incredible. It feels like a slow burn, even though I have an older child, right? And it's not, none of these things are new. They're new because he's a whole different person. Yeah. But also it's kind of like when you're next to someone, you see someone all the time and they're losing weight and it takes you a while to notice it. I see him all the time. They look the same to me. I don't notice the little changes. Yeah. But all of a sudden this week it clicked for James and I both that, he's actually talking. He's real sentences.
Yeah.
So
and with that comes exciting. A whole new set of complexities, right?
Oh yeah.
2 different personalities, 2 different, ma, question. Let me ask this. What's that?
But we could tell Emery's different personality even when he wasn't talking. So all of that stuff, there's so much of personality that is the nonverbal, right? And he is full of it. So it's actually nice now to know what he's thinking through actual words, even if it makes me side eye or makes me suck my teeth at him.
And just remember, they're like sponges. You start sucking your teeth at him, he's going to start doing it. You're going to be like, where'd you get that from?
I know. So that brings me to Lincoln, who's also doing super well. And he's home for the week on vacation from school, which I had, especially for a long period of time. Usually it's just one day is the holiday. This is a whole week of having a different dynamic of him as an older kid in my program with younger kids.
It's a February recess? Is that what it is?
Some kind of recess. I don't know, but it's the whole week. And so it just is a different dynamic because when he's so big and he's so physical, he wants to jump all over the house and climb on stuff and do a bunch of stuff. And of course, everybody wants to follow right behind him. And then I have to worry with kids falling down and on top of each other. Like it changes the dynamic in a way that I wasn't prepared for because we haven't had this long of a break when I'm still open.
They should do a camp during like winter recess.
Oh, they do. They had some options. I just didn't send him.
Oh, gotcha. Well, he probably didn't want to go. I remember we were having a conversation not too long ago that he didn't want to go to the camp.
That's the church camp. He didn't want to go to church camp again. This is a camp in his school. He knows the teacher. Like it would have been fine. I just kept him because like it's easier to keep him at home and I don't see him. I guess. I don't know. It didn't even occur to me as an option to send him. It's like, oh, he'll stay with us and then we'll do cool stuff. And on Monday when I was closed, I took them, I don't know, I think I had a play date with Carolyn. And then on Tuesday, I was open, but only one kid came and it was one of the walking, like a 2.5-year-old. So we took the bus. We went downtown to the Green. We went into City Hall. We went to the library and spent the whole morning outside downtown, and that was super cool because they're all, it was almost 5 and then 2.5-year-old boys, and we had a ball kind of just running around in the morning, and then came back and did our regular thing in the afternoon, and then from Wednesday on to now, everybody else is back now, so it's our regular.
You got full house.
Our regular schedule of Full House. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So where was I going with that? Anyway, that he's good, but I hear him. He's listening to things when I don't even think my voice is loud enough for him to hear it. You know what I mean? And so my friend was over. Actually, Julian who was here way back when. He was over today, and we were talking about his kids, and his wife is white. So I said something like, oh, she's white and Puerto Rican. She'll blah, 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 whatever I said. And when he left, Lincoln looks at me. He goes, Mom, what even is Puerto Rican? And I was like,
you should have said, you remember when we went to Tom's house?
That's a Puerto Rican.
That's a crazy Puerto Rican.
But he's just listening to every single thing and then asking questions. I'm just like I was talking to a client, and afterwards he asked me clarifying questions. I was like, first of all, I wasn't even talking to you. That's supposed to be a part of this conversation. So it's a new stage. It's definitely a new stage because it's not just being worried about parroting, like you said a bad word and so now they say a bad word. He's actually listening, and now he's got questions.
And he's curious.
And the other day he asked me, did Emery see him as a baby? And I said, oh no, because when you were a baby, Emery was in my belly. And he goes, well, how did he come out? And I was like, oh snap. We went to the hospital and they took him out. Like, how? Through your belly? They cut a hole?
You were almost ready to have a birds and the bees talk but a speed version of it.
Right. So basically I fumbled all over and I was like, oh, the baby comes out through where I pee. And he goes, but yours is different from mine. I was like, yes, mine is different from yours. And he said, okay. All right. And I was like, okay, done. Let's move on.
Oh my God.
I don't know what else.
Kids are it's amazing how innocent, but how their brains work. Right.
Yeah.
And they ask questions and in a way that is so relatable, right? Because it's so innocent, but they also don't hold back because they don't know that,
that you're supposed to.
That you're supposed to ask things in a certain way. So they just come out and ask. And there's such an innocence behind that. And I think that, when you realize that they've lost that, that's when things start changing. I think puberty has something to do with that,
Right. But
now they become self-aware.
Yes, but self-awareness comes early. I mean, there are complexities to it and levels to it, but I think he wanted to talk about talk about like your pee hole is what he wanted to talk about because he knows that Emery wasn't around when he was a baby.
Yeah.
So that for me is a whole nother level of recognizing that he knows how to set up a conversation to get to where he wants to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that original question was like a legit question. He didn't know. He was leading me down a path so that I could answer the question he wanted to ask. So
gotcha.
Anyway, it's super cool, and I'm not. I feel like in the past I might have just maybe sometimes I'm annoyed with other things that he asked me about, or like 100 times he asked me the same thing or whatever. But as a parent recognizing a developmental state, you know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of awe and wonder there on the parent side. So it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. What about Big Boy?
Oh, he's good. He's great.
Still losing weight at a rate that's just unbelievable?
No, I think he's maintaining now.
Good.
I think. Again, I see him every day, so he looks.
I haven't seen him in over a month.
Oh, yeah. So then he might look different from a month ago, but he looks good, and he's great. I don't even know what he's doing right. Oh well, he's with the boys right now.
Well, I would hope so.
Yes. But yeah, he's really good. We're getting ready to have a few people over this weekend. His parents, his mom, who's been out of town for like almost 2 months. So we haven't seen her for a long time. So it'll be nice to have them at our house, and his brother David, who's been on the show before.
Nice. Yeah.
For a couple nights.
Wasn't David on your inaugural episode?
My first episode, yeah.
We were talking about
getting him back on. Yeah, he's good. And I think I told you he moved to Harlem, so they're much closer now, just a train ride away.
Nice.
So it's been really great. So.
Awesome. So we have a guest today.
We do have a guest, and I want to run right into it. So I'm super excited to have a friend on. I was telling you earlier that I've known Cookie since I was little. I think like 5 or 6 years old when I was going to church in Harlem. And so I have been talking to her. I haven't seen her probably in like 10 years, but I've been talking to her a lot on Facebook. And it just reminded me how much I remember liking her so much and then sort of losing touch. Anyway, I'm super excited to have her back on. She's calling in from Virginia. And as a bonus, she's like part of a twofer. Her and her best friend Candace, another Candace, happens to be at her house for the week. And I didn't even know that she would be here. So she's in the background. I hope that she will also say hello. Cookie, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Candace, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. And yes, it has been about 10 years since I saw you physically.
I know. I think the three of us had dinner in Greenwich Village.
I don't think Candace wasn't there. There was another person.
It wasn't Candace? You see, this is the twofer. I just assumed it was both of you. Who was the other person?
Oh, it was no, it was a guy.
No.
Yeah, that was back when I was a baker.
I love it that you've had so many lifetimes and so many things, but I seriously remember Candace being there, which is a weird thing that your brain does if you're telling me that she wasn't there, right? So,
actually, but this is when I was visiting in Boston.
Boston. You and I had lunch one day in Boston. Now that...
even longer ago.
That was definitely 10 years ago, because I haven't been in Boston for at least 10 years. So that's incredible. But I'm always reminded of this, that I have met so many people, so many great people over, my short lifetime, but have attributed, I think it's I would attribute it to myself and to these kinds of people that I know. We don't talk for a long time, and then we just fall back in step, and it's as if no time has passed.
Well, that's the best kind of interaction with people that you have built significant emotional and intellectual connections with. It's one of the best ways.
And growing.
Yes, and trust. I mean, she's seen me like when people used to call me mosquito legs, like, and still, so. Like
way back to when we were at church camp. I call it Bible camp when I talk to people about it now. Like I thought people knew about Bible camp, but it's like not a thing.
It's not a thing at all. Like I told my husband I'm planning on volunteering up there this year, and he was just like, "What kind of camp is this?" I was like,
"Right," because then they think you're like evangelical, and then now you're like trying to convert them. I was like, "I don't even go to church anymore, so you don't have to worry about me." But
and for me, it's not even about church. It's about, first of all, the food is banging. Like,
right. I mean, does the water still smell like eggs?
Yes. It's sulfur. But you know what? You can't get that nowhere else. They just got a certain kind of sulfur.
I love it. So this place, I'm just going to shout them out. So it's called Pine Bush Bible Camp. And
Send your kids.
Send your kids. And I mean, I think all the weeks are probably different, but they have the Bible-ness underneath. I think the Grace Week, the Grace Gospel Chapel Week, those 2 weeks are probably the most fire. But that's how I feel.
Say this, if you have, children of color, send them so they can learn how to swim. It's part of the package. Mm-hmm. That's how I learned how to swim. That's why I'm in the Navy now. Like, Pine Bush really set me up for success.
I love it. I love it. I remember the little bands, the green band, the yellow band, the red band.
Yes, green, yellow, red. If you didn't have a red band, though, you can't sit with us. You were part of the crowd, for real.
I remember I got a yellow one early because I'm ginormous. Right? And then when it's time to go for the red band, you have to do a little... We're going a little deeper into this, but this is part of the memory, right? So you have to swim across the pool, and then you have to swim back halfway and tread water for 30 seconds. But you're doing this in front of everyone. Because I feel like there was a point, or like you could say, I'm ready, I want to try. It wasn't just like either you start with a red band or you don't. And so you'd be like, I want to try. And then they would just push everybody out. And then you have to take the test in front of everybody.
That's like putting you on the spot.
Well, I mean,
yes.
It's pressure, but you gonna drown or you not gonna drown?
Oh, my ass will swim.
That's how you learn to swim.
My butt will swim, trust me.
It's true. I mean, I've seen some people go down too, but
I tried twice.
It's a whole big thing.
Right. And then there's always someone who's like an amazing swimmer. I remember some girl, Carrie, I think she's
the golden girl.
Yes, the golden girl. She came and she was treading with her hands up in the air.
She was doing the most though. But she was like everything. She was the only person I met that had gold hair, gold eyes, gold skin, like
black girl.
Gold aura, just like but she was on the swim team too.
Yeah, it wasn't fair. But you see how I remember that from when I was 12? Like,
I think everyone remembers Carrie that I met Carrie because she was cool. She's cool.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's move on because the show isn't about Pine Bush, although it brings lots of wonderful memories. Memories to memory. But so I wanted to have you on because one, you're in active duty in the Navy, and I don't know anybody in the Navy. And then
really?
Well, you do now.
I mean, until Cookie, I didn't know anybody in the Navy.
The Navy.
At least I don't think I know anybody in the Navy. And so I wanted to just hear a little bit. We were talking earlier and you were just telling me stuff that I didn't understand or know at all. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is that she just had a surgery to remove some serious fibroids. And we've had a couple conversations in the past with women about like difficult, medical surgeries and stuff procedures and recovery from it and treatment around it. And she's I feel like the people we've talked to in the past, it's an experience that they had that they're recalling like from a couple years ago, and it was traumatic, but we're like working through it. She literally did this on Friday.
So you're literally sitting on the salt right now.
Yes, it is very salty.
And painful, I can imagine.
Painful. Yeah.
So I did my amazing husband, he went to get my refill so that I could be ready for this because it was
you were due.
They didn't give me enough medication, but part of that is because I am active duty, they're very particular when it comes to controlled substances.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to monitor every single pill. And you know what? I can respect that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the surgeons have been good about my pain management, but I was like, I need more until
I need something strong.
Week has passed. It hasn't even been a full week yet.
Yeah.
Give me a horse tranquilizer, give me something, but you're gonna knock my ass out.
Something. I mean and I think too, like, you know, women do this so the incision that I had is basically a C-section. That's what they did to get into the area. And so I'm thinking to myself, so a woman has a C-section and then she has to go home and then take care of a baby.
Yeah.
At the same time, and then if she's breastfeeding, she can't even get.
Yeah.
Once a C-section is done, she'll typically stay in the hospital for at least 3 days, anywhere between 7.
No, it's more for it's 5 to 6 days for a C-section.
And you know you have to walk. once you have that surgery, they force you to walk.
And that's exactly how I had to get out. I had to be able to walk back down the hall.
They won't let you out until you can walk.
That's right.
To be able to pee by myself. I had to be able to have the bowel movement.
Yep.
And the pain had to be on the medication. The pain had to be at least a 5. So the problem was, though, I was like at an 8.
Yeah, real talk.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was at like an 8, and finally they got the medication mix correct, and then I was able to come home.
Now, being that you're in active duty, was this happening at a VA in your area or at a regular?
So it happened at Walter Reed, which is like one of the biggest military hospitals on the East Coast. And it's joint military, so it's Army and Navy that work it. And I can say that in my experience with all the Navy hospitals, because I was stationed in Norfolk before, and so I was dealing with Portsmouth, this team is just like awesome. And I just think it's a difference between the way the Army handles medicine and the Navy handles medicine.
Well,
so like I've never had doctors call me, after a procedure or anything to see how I'm doing, make sure everything's okay. They will call my husband to make sure he, had everything he needs to take care of me. That was, I've never experienced anything like that.
That's awesome. Because I mean, most medical centers will give you an instructional sheet. Here's what you have to follow. If you experience this, go to an emergency room or something, and that's it. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been good, but it also showed me and taught me that I have to speak up. For myself, because when this whole situation started happening, how I even found out about it. So I was in Norfolk, and I transferred to DC July of this year. Not this year. This year just started, 2018. And I was tired. Like, I was always tired. I was weak. And my husband and I just thought it was because I'm coming off of sea duty. Sea duty, you're working 12, 14-hour days every day. You don't have a day off. And then every 6 days or every 3 days, I had a 24-hour shift where I'm physically awake at work working for 24 hours straight. So we just thought I was just tired. My body was just tired.
Yeah.
And then I came here, and after like 2 months, I was still tired, even though I'm working out now. I'm able to cook dinner every day, so I'm eating right. And so went to my primary care manager. Everyone has a doctor assigned to them wherever you are. And I told them, I'm tired. And they're like, oh, well, have you been getting sleep?
I'm a grown woman. I understand how this works.
It's not sleep. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm fatigued. It's like I have the flu, but I don't have the flu. I just have the fatigue of the flu. And so they were like, fine, we'll do some blood work. Did the blood work, and they saw that my iron was non-existent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. To the point where my liver wasn't producing any at all. And then that was like, oh my gosh, did you know you're anemic? Clearly.
I just told you I was tired.
I didn't know that.
Right.
And so then they were like, okay, well.
I mean, and I could see why you're tired, though, because, I mean, iron is very essential for the bloodstream.
Oh, absolutely.
It helps you to oxygenate the blood and make sure that even your brain and your
energy.
Yeah.
Like, without iron, you will die. Like, you can't function. And so now it's like, okay, so you're anemic. Why are you anemic? Do you eat red meat? I was like, I eat meat. I eat some red meat. I don't indulge in it, but I eat it. I eat a lot of dark leafy greens, though, which is high in iron. And then they're like, well, what about menstruation? Do you bleed a lot? I said, yeah. I was like, but I've always bled a lot. I said, so I don't know why now it would make me anemic. But then they were like, okay, well, let's get you over to a gynecologist and, see if everything's okay down there. So I went, and then that's when they said, we're going to do an ultrasound just to see, make sure everything is okay. You're older. You haven't had one in like 2-3 years. So I was like, all right. And then when they did it, that's when they were like, we kind of see some things down there, but we want to get a closer look. So then they did an MRI. Mm-hmm. And then when they did the MRI and got the imaging back, that's when they were like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is why you're anemic. You have these tumors called fibroids because they grow off of the uterus. They can be inside, but the ones I had were outside. And part of the reason why I can't sleep straight through the night is because every 30 minutes I'm getting up to pee, even though not a lot of pee comes out. Mm. And apparently I had this like fibroid tumor monster crushing my bladder.
Oh my God.
So I didn't have access to all of it. I was probably using less than a third of it.
Wow. Oh, wow.
It be filled up.
Wow.
But then pushing against your bladder was also giving you the sensation that you had to go.
Having like these pains, even though if I wasn't menstruating.
Yeah.
And so it turned into like this medical emergency, and they're like, well, we got to get these out, especially if you want to have kids. You're 37 years old. I'm 37, right? I'll be 37.
I like how she asked Candace.
Hey, listen, she's forgiven.
She's like, how old are we?
She's on meds.
Yeah,
she can forget stuff.
So if you want to have kids, then we need to get 17. This out now.
Sorry.
Because the uterus is not going to be able to hold the child. Because what the fibroids would do is all the nutrients for the child, they just take it because they're tumors. So they're just going to take it and
just to go back, earlier you said to me that a fibroid is a tumor that feeds off of your menstrual cycle.
Correct. And those hormones. So basically, women in menopause, after menopause, you don't have to worry about getting a fibroid.
I mean, you can still get a tumor, but it wouldn't be a fibroid.
Correct. Yeah. Because those specifically are generated from the hormones and everything associated with your cycle.
Okay.
Basically.
Yep. And then it causes extreme pain around menses. It causes
pain. It can cause
anemia,
tiredness. If you do have a pregnancy,
cause you to miscarry
to the uterus, because what happens is they can become infected, and then when they become infected, they become angry, so they start to cause the uterus to go like this.
To contract?
Tremor.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Contract. And what happens is it will cause the water to break prematurely.
Okay.
So and then you will have a miscarriage because of the fibroid. So they're like nothing to really play around with. Yeah. Now, women do have kids with them. My mom had fibroids and she had my brother. Mm-hmm. But during that, she also lost an ovary because she had an ovary that was covered in fibroids.
Wow.
And so it can also be genetic. The doctor also told me that fibroids are very common in the African American community. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know why, but yeah.
Don't know. No one knows seems to know why, but that's a whole nother
stress and trauma
podcast special as to why this condition targets people of color. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the question though, after all this, they set the date for the surgery. Why didn't anyone notice this before? Because there were so many of them and they were so big.
Right.
There's no way. And again, because I'm 36, I have to have a pap smear every year as opposed to my counterparts in the Navy that have one every 5 years. Mm-hmm. Why didn't anyone notice it when it wasn't this extensive and it could have been treated with minimal invasive surgery?
Right. Well, they didn't they do an MRI and that's how they discovered you had them in the first place?
Well, the thing is that this is not the first time I had imaging done. I had imaging back in 2016. Mm-hmm. And the doctor that reviewed the imaging told me, oh, there's nothing to worry about. You're fine. Mm-hmm. They made that decision without one showing me the imaging, discussing with me, like, the implications of like a fibroid and what that could mean for fertility.
Right.
I mean, 2016, I was 34, so I'm still, I'm still over 30. I'm still pushing it. My eggs is running out still.
Right.
But she made that, and me just like, oh well, that's what the doctor said.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, that could have potentially turned into an
hysterectomy.
Not only that, but let's say, for example, you became pregnant during that time frame. You didn't realize that you had these fibroids. That could have potentially been a miscarriage that could have happened.
Yes, and it could have been prevented. Yes.
Because it's literally sucking all these nutrients. And so whatever egg that would have ended up there and tried to develop could have been potentially compromised.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what the team of surgeons that I had, this is what they're still questioning right now. Like, why was this not addressed back in 2016? And I believe there's a number of reasons why. But the lesson that I've learned is that, one, you have to listen to your body. And two, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to ask questions. You have to, every piece of information that you can possibly get from these doctors, you have to get it, because some people make decisions based on their biases, majority of people. And I just wrote a paper last week about how artificial intelligence, how the programmers are programming biases into the software. And so a police station in Illinois had a program, AI program written to help them when people are up for parole, like determine, because there were just so many, they couldn't do it manually anymore. And it was biased toward people of color, Hispanic and Blacks in the area. And it took someone from the outside noticing the amount of people that were being denied parole when they shouldn't have been, based on good behavior, based on time that they've already served. And then it came out that this program was biased.
Wow.
And then, people are like, oh, well, it was the program.
Who made the program?
Right itself.
Exactly.
Artificial intelligence. You need to go back to the programmers.
Yeah.
And they need to fix this code. And writing code for a program, it's literally something simple like, if person is Black and male, then deny, or something like that. That's all it takes.
Right.
Right?
I'm laughing because it's ridiculous.
If then when. So it's the same thing in the medical field. It's like they have these biases, and I feel like this doctor had this bias.
Now, typically, in my logical brain, if I were a woman, I would want a woman doctor, because when you're explaining or having a conversation with a woman doctor and you're a woman, you immediately have that initial connection, right? When you're describing something to me, if it's ever happened to me, or if I've ever felt it, I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah,
Men really can't do that.
Except I will say that I've read some things and felt sometimes that sometimes you might actually want a man to have these conversations with, because women have their own bias around. Well, I've had a heavy period before. It hurts, but you can handle it. Like, we can get through it. And because men have zero understanding of that, their framing and their willingness to listen to you is a little bit
more. This is what friends,
100%.
Right?
So I guess the question I was going to ask you was, did you have a choice in the choice of doctor or who would see you? You said that you were assigned someone.
No,
on the ship, when you're on sea duty, it's just dependent on the doctor assigned to the ship. Because the type of ship I was, there was only one medical doctor over everyone, and then they had a second physician. And then the problem is they all have specialties. So the doctor that I saw in 2016, I didn't have a choice, because that was just the ship's doctor for that time. And she was a gynecologist, obstetrician by trade. And I felt like because fibroids wasn't something that she had a lot of experience with. To her, it was just like, oh, no, that's fine.
But she's a gynecologist, though. I mean, you would think that someone that works closely with a female's anatomy would know that odd structures within the cell walls of the uterus are not normal.
But again, what your comment was earlier, and what we were getting at is there is something to be said about women talking to women. You do feel a sense of like you can. It's almost like you can skip over a few steps because we're both women and we both understand what, like I don't have to explain menses to you.
At the same time, they're judging you based on what they
have
can
felt.
Handle,
exactly.
Gotcha.
You're telling them. Whereas, when I got to DC, I was given a male primary care manager. And when I told him, listen, I'm not feeling good, he's like, okay, let me get you over to a specialist. Like, I didn't have to fight for referral.
Gotcha.
Whereas with women, I mean, this one woman on the ship I was on, she would just fight against everything I said. I had an injury where I fell, and I really damaged my shoulder and my bicep. I ended up with a bone bruise. And she's like, oh, you're fine. You just need some ibuprofen. What I need is an MRI to see what has been damaged. If something's damaged, this pain is not, like, I can't put my t-shirt on. Like, and that's part of my uniform. Like, I could not lift my arm to put my undershirt on. No, this is more than ibuprofen, girl. This is something's wrong. But it was like a fight. Everything with her was a fight. Whereas, I got this man doctor, and I'm like, I don't feel good. He's like, all right, who do you want me to send you to?
Right. Like sometimes I wish for the white man, right? Because he like has no idea. And he's just like, all right, tell me, girl, what do you need? All right, I'll send you there.
And then I appreciate
it's like you need a duo. You need both.
I saw him again. He's like, hey, I was kind of looking through your file. What happened with that? And I was like, yeah, man, I got to have surgery. He was like, oh, man. So now what's going to happen is someone's not even going to have to tell him too much. They're going to be like, I feel, he's going to be like, yeah, we getting you surgery.
Right. Right.
Because of that girl that I had.
Remember?
Yeah. No, it's true.
It's so crazy.
But you have to fight. You have to open up your mouth. You can't let nobody try to tell you, well, in my experience, that's good.
That does have nothing to do with me.
Experience. Mm-hmm. But this is what I need. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just for my frame of mind, my peace of mind, like, and these doctors, like I said, they've been very open to all of my questions. They've been checking in. And this is the kind of energy now that I'm going to expect wherever I go.
And it's great. I mean, I love this. The reason why I want to have this conversation and why I, have the kinds of conversations I've had over the last 46 weeks is that I often forget that I'm a whole grown ass woman, right? I forget that I'm a grown woman, and I feel often like a child or like a young person who needs to be told how to handle, how to react, like what I should expect, what I should expect and what I should accept, right? Like I feel like I need somebody to tell me that. And when I realize that people in my circle who are also the same age as me, 35, 36, 37, like 33, right? We're going through grown woman. Like when I learned about fibroids, it was my mom had fibroids. So I think about it as old people have that, or like, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I am in this position at 35 years old, where grown folk stuff is happening to me, and I feel like nobody's talking to me about it. Nobody is explaining how to handle a situation like this. So I'm really appreciative of you coming on, like hopped up on whatever meds you're hopped up on.
I won't repeat them on the air, but yes, thank you, Dr. Sanders, for hearing my and You know, and you know what? I just want to give a shout out to all the mothers out there that have had multiple C-sections to bring life into the world, because I'm not the one. No. Will this happen again?
Yeah.
Probably not. And if it does, then it's just gonna be one time. But I don't think it's gonna happen. I told my husband yesterday, like, sorry.
Well, that's a thing about childbirth, is that you sort of think you know, right? You think you've like learned and read and blah 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 about all the things, and that you're going to be prepared. And the benefit and joy of pregnancy is that you don't know, right? And so once you're at that point, like, there's no turning back. Like, there's no other way to get this baby out, and it's like you've got to go through it. And then after you have the baby, you get the feel goods. I always forget what they're called, but like the hormone,
the endorphins.
Like,
you are.
Sorry, wait. You just skipped a little bit. Go say that again.
Oh, I said that much endorphin in the world.
Right. Well, so here's the reality is that you missed out on the endorphins. You missed out on I call them they wipe your mind blank and you forget the whole thing. And so it sucks because you missed out on the part that is supposed to wipe clean your memory of this really shitty traumatic experience. And then you have the baby, right? So you basically just had a baby without the baby.
Correct. And I remember everything. And so, you know what? This is just going, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to just
take an L on that one.
And you are a queen. I have so much respect for mothers because, oh my gosh, you deny yourself for 9 months and then you go through this trauma to your body.
10 months.
10 months. And then you have to keep this thing alive for at least 18 years.
Yep. At least. And my sister still lives with my mom, so it goes past 18 years.
Oh.
And then you do it again.
No.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, and I'm with you because I don't know a thing about C-sections. Like, giving birth vaginally is a treat compared to the repair.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And then having to heal, but then having this kid to take care of while you're healing. It's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not fair, but it's why we do it. It's why we're chosen, right? To do it because we can kind of handle it. I don't know. I'm serious. You missed out on the endorphins. The endorphins wipe it all clean, or else you would never do it again, and then the population would suffer.
I don't know. Y'all just crazy. There's not that much endorphins in the world. No.
Okay, so I want to make sure that we touch a little bit on your the rest of your Navy experience. So this seems to me like it's been the identifying of the fibroids and now where we are now. Having the surgery seems to me like a big part of your experience being in the Navy. But can you tell me a little bit, if we switch gears for a second, from how you went? Because I think you were like baking the last time I saw you, and then all of a sudden I saw you in the white suit during Fleet Week. So, like, how did you?
Oh, so no, bacon. Prior to the Navy, I worked in finance.
Okay.
So that's kind of finance, project management. And then I went through a divorce, and that's when I moved to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like popped up in Nashville. And everyone's like, "What you doing in Nashville?
Right.
What you doing in Nashville?"
We're trying to get some distance.
And I just want to say, big up Davidson County. Y'all made getting divorced cheap, easy. I didn't need to get a lawyer. I was able to do it by myself. You just be a resident for 6 months. It costs $256.30 if you have no kids, no assets to split. Very, very
in Nashville, in Tennessee, Davidson County in Tennessee. Okay.
Nashville, Davidson County. So that's while I was down there, and I went down there like I needed a fresh start, and I decided I didn't want to be in finance anymore. I wanted to write. So my plan was to write for television.
Mm-hmm.
Figured BT was in Atlanta, so I could just drive from Atlanta because I didn't want to live in Atlanta. And then CMT was also looking for writers, and they're based in Nashville, so that was kind of like my thing. But it was hard to do that when people saw my resume and saw the finance. They saw my associate's degree in finance, and it was just hard to get out of it. And anyway, I was working at SunTrust Bank as a business banker. You know, I got paid to put people in debt, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I had a roommate, and they were like, well, why don't you join the National Guard? It's only 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, and then you get money for school. And I was like, that's a good idea. And, you know, I went, took the ASVAB, that's the test you have to take to get into any military branch. Did better than I thought I would do. And it just turned into this thing where they were like, you should just do active duty. Do active duty, just do all your time up front, then you can get out and, you know, do what you need to do.
And what is the all the time up front? Like, how many years do you have to commit to before you're considered?
So in the Navy, it depends on the job that you get. So for me, my title is mass communication specialist. And again, that just means that I'm a photojournalist for the Navy. I take photos, I write stories, I make videos, I do multimedia pieces, I do large printing, and I do public affairs for whatever command that I'm at. And that contract is 5 years.
Okay.
So I figured that would give me enough time to get my life together, figure out what I want to do, get my degree for free and not go into debt, become debt free, and I get to travel a little bit. That was kind of like the way I was looking at it, because moving from New York was the scariest thing I've ever done. And I did it without having a job set up, without having a place to live, had no family, no friends in Tennessee, except for the roommate that I left New York with. So like literally I just showed up in Nashville like, hey, what's going on?
I came down here to turn into a country girl.
Right?
Well, not really. They won't let you when you're from New York. Like, let me tell you, every other state is afraid of New Yorkers. Like, some of them even harbor deep hatred for New Yorkers. Because they feel like, people used to tell me, oh, you think you're better than everyone. If I thought I was better than everyone, I would not have moved to Nashville, Tennessee.
Right.
Hello?
Who do you think you are, Nashville?
I mean, it was sometimes it was bad. Like, but anyway. But yeah, so
now that I know that you weren't in Nashville, I do have to ask, do you have a favorite country song?
Do I have a favorite country song? Of course I have a favorite country song. Well, my favorite country song right now is Drown the Whiskey, written by Josh Thompson, sung by Jason Aldean and Miranda Lambert. And Josh Thompson is like the first country music artist that knew who I was from Twitter. Like, when I first met him, he greeted me with my Twitter name.
I wasn't ready for that answer. I was just thinking, she's from New York.
Listen, black girls like country too.
I'm just saying, you just never know. But you better work, girl.
I like country music so much because the country music artists are very welcoming. Like, Craig Morgan stopped a show that I went to. I was at, and oh my gosh, what is this place? Joe's Cafe in New York. Joe's Pub. Thank you. I was sitting in the front row because every time I went to these shows, I got VIP tickets because I was like, they're so cheap,
right?
You know, and I could get, VIP.
Yeah. It's $35.
He comes out with his red wine and he's playing. He wasn't playing his guitar. He had his picker there, but he's singing and I'm singing along every word. And he stops the show and he's like, I'm sorry. How do you know all the words to my songs? I said, because I have your CD. Where are you from? I said, the Bronx. I'm sorry, we have to talk about this. He's like, I'm sorry.
I love it.
I don't know why this black girl
from the Bronx,
everybody else in here, and she the only one that know all the words to all my songs. I was like, well, first
let's
of all,
talk about it.
Gather people in a separate conversation. They claim to be fans. They don't know nothing that's going on here. I was like, I'm an international harvester, okay? And so 20 minutes talking to me, and then after that, I got to go backstage. and meet him and meet his manager. And Josh Thompson was also one of the songwriters there. So I got to hang out with him. But yeah, I've met Luke Bryant, Crystal Keith, JT Hodges, who completely awesome. He's like I call him like the white Motown, because he got a lot of blues and blues and jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
Who I like right now is Mitchell Tenpenny.
Oh, Little Big Town. I got to shout out Little Big Town.
Little Big Town.
I love y'all. Philip's sweet. He like treated me like a princess when I met him at the CMT first annual parade.
Ooh,
CMA week. I got to be on his flow. That was cool.
I was saying, who I like right now is Mitchell Tenpenny. And he's heavily influenced by like all the brown people. So his music doesn't even really sound country to me, but I'm really into it.
And that's the thing with country. I feel like people are always like, oh, this isn't country. Like Florida Georgia Line, for example, or Billy Currington. Billy Currington is a great example. Yeah. People are like, he's not country. He's R&B country.
Right. But they said the same thing about Shania Twain when she came out and started racking up all these awards. You're from Timmins, Canada. You come down to Tennessee. You marry Mutt Lange, which was the producer of AC/DC at the time, and you come out to Nashville and literally stole every award right under, what was her name? Faith Hill, and all these little bumpkins from Tennessee, and they were feeling some kind of way about it.
Prince did the same thing, and that's why she eventually left and moved to New York, because people were like, well, you're from Philadelphia, you're not country, this and that. That girl can play the guitar, she can play the fiddle, she writes everything.
That's all country is. Is writing.
You writing your music and then being able to play it for a crowd. So however you do that, I don't know, there's many different layers, and people don't understand that. They just used to the one, I got a truck, I'm drinking beer, whiskey, whatever.
Right. But, much more. There's a whole like crew of Black people who like country music, and we probably tend to like the ones who end up being mostly heavily influenced by people who look like us anyway. But we also, there is a Black country cowboy history that nobody talks about, right? And so we belong there. I can't wait to see, like, I'm waiting for more Black country artists to come,
and that's probably
to come around.
Probably why. I mean, you belong there, but you don't see yourself represented in that music, and it's a
lot of places we belong, but we don't see ourselves represented.
Like to get a deal down in Nashville, if you are Black, because they know it's going to be hard to sell.
Yep.
Like Darius Rucker, so hard for him when he went single.
Right.
And the reason why he was able to survive is because of the success he had with Hootie and the Blowfish. It's Hootie and the Blowfish fan base is now Darius Rucker by himself fan base.
Right.
And that's a whole nother, I have a lot of respect for him too, and like what he's done in country music. Because he grew up in South Carolina, like playing the guitar. He country.
Right.
Okay. Like,
and he's got an amazing
But people just
voice,
see
too.
that he's Black, and Black is not country.
Correct.
Right.
And I'm like, you see him up there picking that guitar and singing.
Right.
A song he wrote when he was in the bathroom. He is country. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna bring us back because we just went deep on country, and that wasn't part of
it always happens. Yes,
the original plan.
But that's how I got into the Navy. That's how I got into the Navy. They offered me a job writing, and I was like, "What? I can get paid
to do what I want to do
for the government? Like, is this real? Like, you gonna pay me? And they sent me to school for 7 months to learn how to take photos, how to do public affairs, do videos, and so I did that on a ship for 3 years, and then now I'm at DC, doing it for the Navy Heritage Command, and it's definitely, I've learned a lot.
I really appreciate your posts when you like highlight. So you're doing your job and highlighting the Navy and talking about the Navy, but I also like kind of your side. I don't want to call it a side interest, right? You are a Black woman, and so you have this platform where you can share Black history in the Navy, and I appreciate that as a side piece, right?
and thank you, because to be honest with you, I mean, because I work in public affairs, I'm always conscious of how I present myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been times when you yourself have posted things and I want to love it so bad and I want to share it, but I know like I can't.
Yeah.
This year, just 2019 in general, I just decided that I can't hide who I am for anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Even my job. And I feel like where I am just gave me, like you said, an avenue to which I can share things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take it a step further when I started getting positive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten some negative feedback, but the positive feedback outweighs the negative. And once I started doing it, and started learning on my own, because you guys are learning, I'm learning too.
Right.
Like about all these amazing Black people that have just made such a tremendous contribution to this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks my heart that to hear when people speak about us and say that we're dumb, we're lazy, we need to go back to Africa. It's like, boo, if you would pay for everything,
mm-hmm.
I mean, set me up over there. I got to worry about nothing.
That's right.
And then I found out they did that. The
right.
Back to Africa movement. I found a document online that has literally been copied by hand and put online so people could have it and to preserve it, about how this country, the president of the United States at the time, did send people back to Africa.
Isn't that what Liberia is?
He didn't just say go. He got all the ships for them. He gave each of them money. He set up places for them to live over there and like made sure that they were going to be able to survive.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh my gosh. I heard people talk about this, but I had no idea this was like a legit thing. They got receipts. They got every single organization that donated money.
Wow.
To this venture.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started because I was looking for my father's family, like, because there was a rumor that they were part of that Back to Africa movement. That's why I'm African, like now. And it was right.
Wow.
It was right.
That's incredible.
So, I'm glad I'm able to, share our history and just enlighten, because it opens up conversations, and ultimately, knowledge is power.
Right.
I'm hoping to give people the power to come together and to just stop with just the ignorance, the willful ignorance. There's one thing to be ignorant.
Right.
You weren't raised that way. You were never told. But once you know and you still try to act like you don't know, that's where the problem is.
Right. And are there people of color, Black people in your, like, I'm seeing the history of Black people in the Navy, but right now in your experience, are there, like, I still walk into rooms and I'm the only Black person. What is your current experience like?
So
I'll wait.
It kind of depends on where I am. So I have had the privilege of working with people of color in like higher ranked places. So when I go to the Pentagon, I do see Black admirals. I do see Black female, Master Chief Petty Officers, Senior Chief Petty Officers, which are like the highest ranking on the enlisted side. But unfortunately, yes, there are places that I do go and it's still, underrepresented. But I feel like it is changing. And part of the reason why I do want to stay in is so that I can help to be a part of that continued change.
Right.
And documenting it and letting people know that it's happening. Because what it is if you never see any representation of people of color high ranked in the military, then why would you want to join the military?
Right.
Why would you want to stay in? Because you would think you could never get to that level. But Michelle Williams, who was the first 4-star a Black female admiral ever in the Navy. When she got pinned, her pinning ceremony, it was just like, I could be a 4-star admiral? Oh, maybe I do need to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, no idea how many people that were planning on getting out decided, you know what? I'm going to stay in and see, you know, if I could get it. Because even if they don't get there, they're going to get close.
Right.
And then encourage someone else that would be able
to get the further.
To get there. So representation is super, super, super important.
And sticking it through.
So your contract, right? Your current contract, you said it was somewhere around 5 years. Does this inspire you to continue to stay and do more?
I definitely. So I am putting in a package for an officer billet. I'm gonna do JAG, so that's General Judge Advocate General program. So to be a lawyer for the Navy. And hopefully I get picked up to do that. It's so competitive, super competitive program. They only pick like 2 people every year. But I'm just hoping that one of those people will be me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. If I don't get picked up for that, then I might put in for a medical admin officer, since my degree is cyber security and computer networks. And right now, the health industry is having this massive migration from paper to electronic, the electronic health record.
Yeah.
And the military, what they're trying to do is combine all the branches, you know, into one record. So I feel like my expertise would be able to help that transition. However, law for me is, I just see that people don't understand the law. The law is written in such a way to where if you don't understand it, then it will be used against you every single time. It will trip you up every single time. And not even used against you, but if you don't understand it, then, you know, you won't benefit from it.
Can't use it to benefit. Yeah.
Correct. So my desire is really to become a JAG and then be able to help people understand the laws as they are, and influence, you know, the writing of new laws that are much more clearer to understand. And
well, the vague language that was used back, you know, in the 1700s and the 1800s, they were written that way to be left, to leave wiggle room for interpretation. And you're right. Current laws being written are more specific to the problems that society has today. But if we look at one particular law, let's just look at the Constitution for an example. You know, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. When they wrote that, we were talking about muskets. Now you have, you know, an entire country that is having a polarized conversation around what protects, what rights are protected for what weapons, et cetera, et cetera. So that interpretation is pulled from a simple sentence has given people the right to run around with weapons, military grade weapons that they have no business having access to.
Right.
See, and that's exactly what I mean when you hit it on the head when I say interpreting the laws, because you have to think about what the people were thinking about when they wrote these laws.
The intents, correct.
People don't do that, and that's why the best lawyers, like, people be like, I don't know how this lawyer got this person off. It's because they understood the law as it was written when it was written. They understood that, and they were able to argue to that.
Right.
So.
Well, this is a nice segue to current events, which I wanted to make sure to talk about, because the thing that if we're talking about, let me see this, if we're talking about how people interpret laws and when laws are enforced, right? The whole situation around Jussie Smollett, which if you live under a rock and haven't heard, like he said that he was attacked, like brutally attacked in a racist and homophobic manner.
There's so many layers to this.
That that was the original claim, and now it's looking like he orchestrated this as some sort of stunt of something. And I don't know, like, I feel some kind of way because
he was officially arrested and charged.
Yeah, because I was so upset when this thing happened to him. It's still, when this thing happened to me, I was upset, right? And it brings up a whole lot of like feelings about how Black people are treated in this country, and people who are on the LGBTQ spectrum, right? Like how they're treated. And then now this next layer of him maybe being the orchestrator of this, and then today him being arrested for the official arrest is something like filing a false charge. It's
a felony class,
right? Which is insane, given that every day leading up to this, post this, today, there's so many instances where Black people are just like living life, and interfering white people file false claims that result in someone dying, right? Like someone gets killed in this. They'll say the guns kill them, but like someone dies in the situation, and those people just get to say, "Oh, my bad." Oh, or they get to say, "Oh, but I was really concerned." Like you would have been concerned too, and someone dies. In this case, he was wrong if he did this thing, right? But I'm sticking with allegedly. If he orchestrated this thing, he was wrong. But he also shouldn't, like, only him was affected in this, right? Like, nobody died. He didn't actually get, like, it just feels like even when the laws are being, just to tie it to what you were saying about the laws being interpreted, even when the laws are interpreted in the racist way that they were intended, right? Black people lose. And then when they're like, okay, so now we're going to interpret it in this better way and enforce it in this better way, Black people are the first to lose when we like do the wrong thing, when white people are not. I'm deep in my feelings about it and really, really upset.
Well, the you were right to say allegedly, because nothing has been
proved.
And there's been no. You can charge someone all you want all day long.
Well, one of the phrases that I've been hearing all day long as they're discussing the matter on on network television is that he will enjoy the presumption of innocence. And I wrote this on my.
Actually, he's not enjoying the presumption of innocence.
As a person of color, no, we do not enjoy the presumption of innocence, because typically those are the people that get locked up the most. Like white people can get away with murder. Look at this individual that got gagged. They did a gag order. This white old guy, friend of Donald Trump's, he posted a picture of the judge that's literally trying his case with a bullseye in the back. So in other words, here's the judge, go kill her.
I did see that, yes.
Roger Stone.
Yes.
White man. He's still running around free. I mean, they picked him up with a what do they call those? With a squad. What kind of squad? Oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought here. But either way, I mean, but the man is out, and he can walk into court after literally threatening a judge on Instagram, and just got a much larger gag now on what he did, and then on the flip side of that, you see Jussie Smollett go through this whole thing, and there's a lot of allegations that are being thrown out there. Yes, he was officially arrested and charged, but now we have to wait and see what the facts are, and to prove whether or not he indeed do this, and if he's guilty or not. And at that point, I think I'm waiting for that to pass judgment, but I'm feeling so conflicted internally, because I represent not only the LGBT community, but I also represent a community in the minority. And so the consequences, if this is to be what he did, the consequences for victims of hate crimes, the consequences for victims in the LGBT community that experience this every day are going to be felt. Because
my whole thing is, though, and I will leave you guys with this thought, is the only reason this is even an issue because he said that they were MAGA supporters. like if that piece was never involved in it, would this even have been?
Well, the initial reports were that he was beat up by two individuals who called him homophobic slurs, poured bleach on him, called him racist words, and left a noose around his neck.
And were wearing red hats, the red MAGA hats.
That said MAGA hats and said, you know, XYZ. That was the initial report. That's what he initially said happened. That's how he described.
Has happened. He has not changed anything that he has said.
No. His story has remained consistent, whether he was on TV. Also, his lawyers are putting out information out there. And again, the evidence, the so-called evidence that's being stacked against him seems to suggest that this is what's going to happen, that he orchestrated the whole thing. But we don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that I understand where you're coming from, but the ramifications of what he potentially did could have really, really bad impact on people who actually go through these types of things.
It's the same thing like people who claim that they were raped, but they're lying, right? It makes people think that all people who say that they were raped or are lying about it.
And especially,
like 5 people did.
Especially with this administration. I'm waiting for the idiot in chief in our office to start.
And he hasn't said anything. I haven't. It's amazing that he
hasn't
tweeted
posted
about this.
A Twitter thing, but it doesn't look like the actual Twitter font. So I'm thinking it was probably just made as a joke.
Okay.
But I'm waiting for him to go off and start talking about how this, you know, is going to polarize his base, or how they're attacking him or his base or his people. And you know, it just, we've been fighting so long for the right to be able to live our lives without having to worry about being killed. And, you know, being part of society in a way in where we don't have to constantly be throwing our minority status at you as a way to get you to understand that we're here.
Right.
You know, see me for who I am and what I do. I'm a human. And when something like this happens, it just really, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it sets us back, but I think that it's very, no matter how clear a circumstance or a situation is, people still refuse to see the effects of institutionalized racism. And the fact that like, if this is what he did, that he will get indicted, he will be in jail, the whole thing will just boom, 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 and it'll be.
Why isn't that for everyone?
Exactly.
Why is everyone that has done this?
I'm still waiting for that white Becky at the barbecue to get
barbecue Becky, the pool pass Ryan or whoever that was, the lady with the water. Let's talk about the man who called on that guy at Walmart who got that guy killed. So these other people were embarrassed and it sucks, but they're living talking about it. Let's talk about the man who was killed in Walmart because he was looking at BB guns that Walmart sells. That somebody called on him. Let's talk about the old lady who's still alive who claimed Emmett Till did some shit to her. Let's talk about Zimmerman, who killed a 17-year-old boy because he wanted to, right? And claimed false reports and all of these things. Let's talk about people whose lies and false police reporting affected ended the lives of actual people, and how those people just get to be like, oh, my bad, and then some of them turn around and fucking sue whoever they sue for damage of whatever those damages are called when you damage a person's reputation, defamation of character and stuff, get to turn around and say, but I was just doing, you would have been scared too, right? And then get to, in some cases, profit from a situation like this, or recoup some of the ill will that people have against them because they say, I should have had, if see something, say something, that kind of thing. If Jussie Smollett can go to jail for claiming that some shitty thing happened to him that didn't involve anybody actually dying, right? And was only him. It's not even like he orchestrated some dudes to beat up some other gay black guy. He orchestrated it on himself. Yeah. Let's talk about the black football player who shot himself in the leg and had to go to jail for it because he shot himself. Huh?
his name from the Giants.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like the two sides of this situation is one, the issues around people believing, people of color and people in the LGBT community. But the other thing is about how no matter how many examples we give of circumstances not being equal and of reactions not being equal, people still pretend like it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And like a situation, well, that guy was, if he had just listened, or if he had just, I mean, the latest Becky harassing black people is some old lady in Houston basically aggressively attacked a couple and their 1-year-old child for taking pictures. I mean, there was a baby there with a balloon that said 1. Like, you see a baby in the street and you pull up your car and you let your dog run towards the baby and you claim that they are somehow disrespecting you. You know what I mean? Like, when is she going to get arrested for aggravated assault? I don't even know what the terms are, right? But like endangering a child. Like, why isn't that the situation? I bet if the mom or dad had picked up that dog and thrown it into the street to keep it away from their baby, I bet they would be facing some charges against the fucking dog.
Well, I mean, did the parents file charges?
Everything's under investigation and blah, 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 blah. And then we have to worry the respectability, like shit that black people and people who are victimized have to worry with, like black people always have to be praying for or accepting of the sorries, or like accepting of whatever reasonable answer people try to come up with, and not really go hard go hard in their reaction the way any reasonable person would be allowed, any reasonable white person would be allowed to go hard in that situation. If you pull up your car near my child, knowing that my child is there, that is loud aggression. I should have the right to run up on your Corvette and punch you in the face. Like, I should just, that should be the automatic response. And then you let your dog out near my baby that's on the ground because we're taking pictures of them. Like, I
just told Ken, I said, this is why I can't have no babies. This is another layer of defense that I'm going to have to deal with. And I struggle now dealing with, systematic racism and just people just being ignorant and, I feel you. I feel you, because you're absolutely right. And then you posed the question, did the parents press charges? Because this whole thing with Jesse, I believe it's the police department that
is pressing charges.
This is no one else. This is them.
No, I'm asking that because she was describing the incident. I'm like, well, if she rolled up on them and let a dog loose, I mean, technically she endangered the life of that child. Those parents should be able to press charges. But now the
question is, when the parents went to press charges, did they let the police convince them not to, or did they, did they not, did they just take whatever they were told? Because they don't want no more trouble. Because I can understand that too. They're probably like, we just want to be left alone. But where is the line? Where do you, I don't know. My husband, he's very much opened up my eyes to standing up for myself, and he's like, oh no, this is your right. I'm like, yeah, but I'm black. And he's like, ants. And I'm like, but you don't understand. He's like, no, I understand, but ants.
Right.
It's
important to note here that her husband is white, which I have some friends who have white husbands, and it's an interesting level of complexity on top of regular marriage things. That obviously he's an ally, right? He's got a black wife. He loves her,
but they still sometimes say some stuff that you're like, did you just say that?
There's just a layer of complexity.
My face, that was my face exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because I'd be like, you're about to end up with no teeth. I love you and all, but that did not just come out your mouth.
Widow.
Or in a situation like what it sounds like you're saying is that we as black people or I'll speak for me because one black person can't speak for all black people, but you make a judgment call that I should be able to walk in my neighborhood with Skittles in the middle of the day, but maybe I'm not gonna.
The conversation we've had, right? Okay, carrying a firearm, right? So in the state of Virginia, you can open carry, right? So I have a firearm, right? I'm in the military. I'm expected to know how to use a firearm for when I stand watch. So I have a firearm so that I can keep current, on how to use it safely.
Open carry means visible from the streets, like it's on a holster on your hip. Okay,
carry it on my neck holster or whatever kind of fancy way. As long as you can see it, then you can carry it. But I'm not comfortable doing that because all I need is for someone to say she got a gun.
Yeah, who's gonna wait to hear about your military ID?
But then it's like, yeah, but it's your right. I know. I get it.
It's my right, but that right can get me killed because, I mean, think about how many more examples do we need before we realize that we're not looked at the same way. And when I say we, I mean, I can't really like throw myself in that, in that equation, but, people of color are not looked at the same way that a white person running around with a gun on their holster, on their hip is.
Right.
And so, for the sake of protecting yourself, you carrying that gun can actually put you in danger, in a danger that not many other people can understand, especially white people, because they don't have to worry about that.
Even your husband, even a person who loves you and wants you to have your access to your rights. It's a very, I don't know.
That was a conversation. You know what I'm saying? That was a learning and a teaching moment.
Because I guarantee you, if you're in Virginia and you're going, let's say, to a Waffle House, and you got this crazy, person on a table throwing words with you on the other side, and you both have an openly displayed gun, and police is called to make sure that nothing escalates, who do you think the police is going to walk up to first?
Hey,
right,
100%.
Yep,
hands down. And it's to me that is a clear indication of why that puts you in danger. But it also infringes on your rights, the fact that they do that. Because now they're intimidating you into believing that you shouldn't be carrying that weapon because it puts you in danger. And they know that. But they're still doing it anyway.
Correct. Absolutely.
I mean time and time again, like aggressive murderers, like mass murderers with lots and lots and lots of illegal firearms get arrested and get their day in court. And like some black dude was just sleeping in his car and got shot 25, like legit sleeping. Like didn't even sleeping, not moving, sleeping, and got shot 25 times.
Rolando Castillo?
Castile?
He literally was telling the officer, I have a permit. I'm gonna get the permit.
Right.
Here's my gun. And got shot in front of his girlfriend and daughter.
And since Philando is his name, Philando, since you bring that up, let's talk a little bit because I just saw that. So I'm going to preface this with, it's still fucking February. It is still Black History Month. And I've been so excited about all my friends who are posting different cool things like for Black History. So my feed is full of like naval Black history, Black history in the LGBT community, Black history writers, like Black musicians, like such awesome stuff. And then it every single day there is some like loudly racist shit that's happening right now in the middle of Black History Month. I'm just like, could you take a breath for a second? So anyway, what I was saying is it's still Black History Month, but you talk about Philando Castile, who was shot by a Latino police officer. And there is so much like, we have to worry about white people. We also have to worry about Latino people who have this crazy confusion and self-hatred about their proximity to Blackness and rely heavily on their proximity to whiteness. And I just saw a kid who's 11 years old. He's in the 5th grade, was just arrested during Black History Month for refusing to say the the Pledge of Allegiance, and his teacher, his teacher is a Cuban woman who was like having a back and forth with him. And now, was this kid probably rude? Was this kid waiting for a chance to exercise his right to not say the Pledge of Allegiance? I believe it. He's 11, right? He's a little prepubescent asshole. I believe it. But for her to tell him that if he doesn't like it here, he should go back to where he comes from, and like he should be like behaving better, and like and not think those things about the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag, and then send him to the principal's office and allow things to get escalated where police are called and this kid then gets arrested. Like I feel very strongly that we all have to recognize when you call the police on a person of color, let alone a fucking child of color, the different steps and how that could lead to that kid dies, right? Like, it seems extreme, but like it's 3 steps before a little black kid can get shot. You know what I mean? Because you didn't like how the little brown kid talked to you, because you didn't feel like dealing with it. And now an 11-year-old boy has arrest record.
I was in school. How many people did not get up to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Right. Did not know the Pledge of Allegiance.
I remember when I had to sing "My Country."
The police even entertained it and came to the school. Like,
did this happen in Waterbury?
No,
my mind blown.
I don't remember where it happened.
Yeah, because there's an incident in Waterbury where a child refused to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and there's some huge controversy in one of our towns here in Connecticut.
So look on that.
So,
but the piece there that rings for me is like, we already have to worry about white people, right? And I have to say, not all white people. They're awesome white people. I know some really good white people, right? Like, I have to say those things.
But nonetheless,
some of my best friends are white people, right? But nevertheless, it's stressful to me when we, black people, always on the brunt of all the shit, have to deal with people of color putting us in these situations, putting our children in these precarious ass situations. Like, some guys that were arrested in a bodega or something. No. They were turned away from a gym. Do you remember when that happened? That the two black guys, they were at the gym, and the one guy brought his friend, and then the manager was like, "Oh, you don't belong here. Like, where's your pass?" But she wasn't. There were like 12 people in there. Do you remember this? And they made him leave. Anyway. It was a whole thing where she didn't want them in there, and the gym was run by an Indian guy. And so they're like these situations that I see that are just like, there should be some fucking allyhood, allydom, connection where people.
Everyone is always trying to
distance themselves from blackness.
Black, because when race was created, because race wasn't a thing, it was a thing that was created to support slavery. Once it was made that if you are black, then you are less than, then everyone all of a sudden had to do everything they could to associate themselves.
You can be, you are less than, and you can be this because you are less than. Right. We can take you and rip you out of your homeland and bring you to a foreign
and quote the Bible while we do it.
And
that is why you have this failure of people to come together because they're spending so much time trying to disassociate themselves. The issue is, though, what I find funny is when you ask a white person about. You point to an Indian person, or you point to a Dominican person or Puerto Rican, and you're like, what are they? They're like, I don't know, some kind of black?
Well, there's truth behind that.
They're not coming to you like, oh, well, no, I'm not black. I'm Puerto Rican, and I'm half.
White people see us all the same way. Not white.
Spaniard. No, that's not how they're looking at you, though. They don't include you in their group.
Right.
So stop, trying to be a part of they'll never include you.
Right.
And that's what's funny to me.
They don't know what you are, but they know you're not one of them.
Correct. And then people spend so much time trying to put this distance and hurt the very people that they should be trying to uplift.
That's how
we're one and the same.
That's how I feel about people from the Middle East who think they're white until they come to America and realize how not white they are. Like you think you're white, but when you come to America, you are not white enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a very, it's
an eye-opening experience for them.
For them. I was like, I was trying to tell you. I was trying to save you the heartache, but you thought
I've been here all along, so I know. But one of the hardest things, right? It's like when you have your core group of white friends, is that their privilege doesn't allow them to see when they're being insensitive by some of the things that they grow up saying that they think it's okay to say. And so when you're saying, I have a lot of white friends that are allies and part of the group and they support, I can guarantee you that at some point throughout your relationship, they're going to say something
and
they not realize that it's impactful.
It's not the right thing to say. Well, so the thing, being a person with lots of white friends, the thing that I experience the most is that they don't realize that their privilege doesn't extend to you, right? So I make this joke about liking country music, but I'm not going to a country concert. Or like, if you are going to meet a white friend, like white friend, don't pull out at the last second and leave your black friend in this white situation and you're not there. You know what I mean? Like the privilege of being friends with you doesn't extend when you're not there.
Correct.
And most of the times it doesn't extend when you are there, right? And that's how you get into those situations where like some really uncomfortable, dangerous shit happens to you and people are on the side going, I can't even believe I just...
You got the wrong friends, girl. See? Let me tell you something. My white friends, no, that's... The reason why the privilege doesn't extend is because they have to acknowledge that they have the privilege, right? And I have been blessed to have just an awesome group of friends that they understand that.
Yep.
So when we go out, the conversation is, all right, how can we use this for you? Like, what can I do?
That's amazing.
The best it can be for you. What do you need me to do? Who do I need to talk to?
Yep.
Say. And that's how it goes. You talk about going to country music. I go to a country music concert by myself because half of them are afraid of me anyway. And if the country music star is going to see me, he's not going to see anybody else.
Right.
And then he's going to focus on me.
He'll be able to pick you out.
And now everybody's going to be jealous.
and because I've seen. My friend Melanie can tell you because we've had to. And she's little, but she's had to roll up on something like, yo, back up me because of that. But
I love it.
There has to be an awareness. And I saw a meme. You probably posted it, maybe, that said, if you say you have
white friends,
but they don't talk to you about white people, then you don't have no black friends.
Right.
And it's true. It's true. Like, my white friends, like if I talk about so when I talk to them, it's white people.
Right. No L.
When I talk about white people, I'm talking about white people. And they're like, I don't know why either, girl. I know. But you got to talk about that privilege and they have to understand it. And once they understand that it's there and that's what makes them different. Because a lot of them too, when you say the word privilege, they think, oh,
I wasn't rich.
I have more money than you, or I went to private school, or that class thing. Yeah, that's what they're thinking initially. I'm like, no. What I mean is, when we go to this restaurant and
they're gonna ask you all the questions.
Waiting for an hour, and you walk in 15 minutes, you got a seat. Well, we got the same party number. That's privilege. Privilege when someone to just tell me excuse me if they're trying to get by and not just try to walk right through me like I'm invisible. That's privilege. Little things like that. And once they understand that, then I don't know. My friends, they work to protect me, make sure that I'm okay. Now, do they say things sometimes that are inappropriate? Of course, because they don't know. But I always take it as a teaching moment, and I say things too. I say things too that are inappropriate.
Yeah.
But but sometimes though.
And the thing is that, my friend Lindsay, especially, she's always like, "Well, you have every right to say that. Yeah, it was messed up, it was fucked up, but you know what? You have every right." And I said, "Yeah, but I'm sorry. I was just I was in a place. I just watched Mississippi Burning. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I should made that generalization, but but that's what being friends is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You learn, you grow. You wound me, I wound you.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not, if you've got white friends that are not aware that they have privilege, then that's the first problem.
Right. You some new white friends.
Can they really be your friend?
Right.
If they don't acknowledge that. If they don't acknowledge systematic racism.
That's right.
Can they be your friend? I don't know. I don't think they can.
I don't think they can.
No. And I, like I said, I'm blessed to have just a really, really amazing group but also it's because it's me too, right? Because
you're not just gonna pick up any.
Me dealing with trash are long gone. So, up front, like, listen, this is what I accept. If you can't meet these requirements, if you can't handle this, then just keep it moving.
Right. I love it. Well, we have covered way more than I thought we would, but suspected that we might, because I was telling James, he's like, "Who's going to be on the show?" I was like, "Cookie, Cookie." He's like, "No, I don't know Cookie." I was like, "Well, like Blackity Black Cookie. That's where I got that from. It's Cookie." So I'm really glad that we had this conversation. And again, I reiterate that I enjoy setting up these conversations because I often forget that I'm grown and that these sorts of situations are affecting me in a way as an adult that I think they are affecting other people, not realizing I am those people, other, like another age group, and that I'm here, and that I feel like I was not prepared for, and nobody was talking openly about these things like fibroids. I hear, so-and-so had it. Oh, so-and-so had it. But that's all you hear. You don't know anything about it. You don't know any of the signs to look for or how it could affect you.
And another thing
in the
too,
future.
I just want to add, if anyone gets a diagnosis of fibroids, don't let them just want to take your uterus out, because they love doing that.
Yeah.
It so happened that I was blessed enough to get into a fertility clinic where their whole thing is fertility and maintaining. But I could very easily see how someone like the MRI that looked like mine, a doctor would be like, "We just got to take the whole thing."
Right.
It makes sense to try to go in there. So don't let them be just removing organs. Women, please.
Yeah.
Don't. If someone tells you they want to get a second opinion,
right? It's got to be
to a fertility.
10 people tell you got to lose your uterus.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm 36. So, okay, I mean, you tell me now, okay, you take my uterus, I can have kids, all right, but they're doing it 25-year-old.
Yeah.
4-year-old, try to take their whole thing. My grandmother, Mother Wright.
Yeah.
She took her uterus at 25.
Wow.
And she had fibroids. Just fibroids.
Just fibroids, yeah.
And took the whole thing out back, and and yes, it was the 30s, but still.
Yeah.
The 20s, I think it was 20. I think she was born in 1911.
I think medicine has come a long way, but nonetheless, that's pretty heartbreaking to think that, at that age, you could have had so many more kids.
No, medicine has come a long way, but bias, yeah.
You have to make sure it's coming a long way for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for us.
Yes.
Right.
Because, people make assumptions and have biases, and if they feel like you shouldn't be reproducing anyway, be better off without.
Yeah.
Oh, there has been many cases throughout history where
women are
the government have been sterilizing women to avoid them from reproducing. But
Native American
that's
women,
a topic for another show.
Day. Oh my God!
But
thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Candace. Thank you for being here, Candace. I really love this. The fact that Candace is here is not surprising to me. The sister love that I remember and I'm so proud of, right? Your friend is sick she just had like major surgery, and here you are for a week, just running down to spend time with her and be there for her. Like, that is what sisterhood is. And I love you guys so much, and I'm so proud of you. And
we love you too.
Thank you for being here.
Love Emery. Yeah. I was just saying, Emery is like, I love him because you were talking about, you know, his personality, seeing it. I've been seeing it. Right. In all the pictures, he's kind of like, just like.
Right. You see, it's all the nonverbals.
Yeah.
So I want to wish you a speedy recovery, by the way, because I know that you're going through some serious
stuff. You're here in your robe,
stuff.
On your drugs. Like, I really appreciate you.
Take my next dose, actually, as soon as we hang up.
Yes. I really appreciate you. And I hope you will come back on.
I plan on being in person, so that's my next. I'm gonna really try.
Yes,
to
when you come and visit New Haven, absolutely come and stay with us. I would love to have you. And so we're gonna wrap up because we're way over. Okay, so
we're going on a 2-hour show. We gotta wrap up.
All right, fine. Whatever. Okay, so I have hashtag Mom So Hard tip that I've been dying, like busting at the seams. Okay, so so here's the tip. The tip is to utilize the delayed start on your dishwasher. Super simple, right? Like, have you ever used a delayed start on your dishwasher?
I don't think my dishwasher has a delayed start, but why?
Okay, so I was with Carolyn, and I was telling her that I'm always struggling. Every morning at 7:00 in the morning, I turn on the dishwasher. It needs to be emptied at 7:00, but that's when I'm turning it on. And I never get it filled right at night, or it's like half filled, but I didn't fill it, and blah, blah, blah. And she told me that she sets up the dishwasher to run, like with the soap and all the stuff, like after dinner, and puts it on a delay, right? And then if there are things that need to get in there, you just open it up, put them in, and hit the button. But if at the end of the night you didn't get every single thing, at least the machine runs. And a 3/4 full machine clean is way better than waking up in the morning to a full empty machine. And when I tell you this simple but magical tip has changed my entire life over the last 4 days, you cannot even, like, I was telling James last night that I realized for myself, and it felt like a big epiphany, that I will get to like 95% of the way done with something, and then in this scenario with the dishwasher, be like, oh, I think there's a glass upstairs. Oh, there's probably a glass in the living room. Let me wait. Let me go into the living room and get it, and then make sure there's nothing anywhere, and then I'll turn it on and set it, and then it'll run.
Girl, I wash that shit by hand. I'll be like, you washing in there, I'm washing over here. Strainer, you're done.
No, I don't do any of that.
I can tell.
So what happens? Yeah. Anyway, what happens is that I never get to look for that extra cup. I never find it and never end up back in the kitchen to actually turn on the machine. And then every single morning I wake up and I'm devastated and distraught and self-loathing that the machine hasn't run. It means it's full. There's dishes here. There's dishes everywhere. And I have to start the day with 6 kids in my house. You know what I mean? And so...
Benadryl.
Oh, God, you're in the fucking Benadryl. So like, seriously, it is such a simple... Like, there are so many gadgets that I have that I don't utilize all the features. And the delayed start on my dishwasher it's like a button I've never pressed. It looks pristine. I've never ever.
So you press. So let me just recap. You press the delayed start. It just sits there, so it doesn't immediately start running.
Right. So you put the soap in, you get it ready like it's gonna run, but you use your delayed feature. So you start it, and then it knows it's gonna run 4 hours from now or 6 hours from now.
So you just start throwing everything in, and then
over the course of the night,
about it,
then at least the things that are already in there will run.
Gotcha.
Now, I can't help you if you set it up and delay start and like one dish is in there and all the dishes are in the sink. Like, you have a different problem than I have. Yeah. But if you can get most of your things into the dishwasher,
then that works.
Then it really ensures that the dishwasher runs at night, and in the morning you have a fresh start. I mean, it has lifted such a heavy weight off of my shoulders every morning, knowing that the dishes in the dishwasher are clean, and when I start the day, the dirty dishes can go in the dishwasher.
Breezy mom problems.
Listen, it might sound like a first world problem, but it's a real mom problem. And I'm a daycare provider, so I got more kids than I should in my house at one time. It's a real dishwasher situation is a real problem. So I guess let me know if you also have this problem. If anyone listening has a problem with waking up in the morning with dirty dishes in the dishwasher and how maybe you've handled it. If
you can email those to the breezymomspodcast@gmail.com.
You can or on our Facebook page.
Right, that's right, the Breezy Moms Podcast. What else?
I think that was it. I might have had one other one, but I can't remember it because the dishwasher thing has been like a mind changer for me.
Next week we'll have more.
Okay, so anyway, we've gone way over, but I think that it was worth it. I'm so glad Cookie was here, and we'll be back next week. I don't know what's happening next week. Oh, it's the end of Black History Month, finally, so like the racist stuff can continue after
March
without
1st.
upsetting me. But so we'll see. I haven't decided what we'll talk about next week, but it'll probably be more blackly black stuff. So come back. All right, guys. That's it for me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
This show is produced by Tom Ortiz at Digital Stream Radio. It's available for download on Podbean. Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.